Continuing my exploration of the Xinu Discovery set, today I wore Copala. I tried a spray of it once before at Scent Bar here in New York, and I remember thinking it disappeared really quickly and I didn't get a good impression of it. But later in the day, smelling something from some base of something I'd tried that day, and now I'm thinking the culprit was likely Copala, because I had a similar experience that when I first put the drops on, it had a very nice opening, very fresh green. It doesn't list citrus, but you almost get a citric impression. I almost got a floral impression and brightness at the very beginning, but that dies off within maybe 10 minutes, and then it really calms down. But as the skin warms up, the resins start to come out. I've had this experience with other fragrances, especially ones that are based on these kind of ancient resins like olivinum, labdanum, myrrh, and here copal resin, where after they warm up on skin, they really start to bloom. And I found that actually it had fantastic longevity. I'm still smelling it easily 12 hours later. So I'll put a little drop on to remind myself of the opening. I actually don't mind this dropper application. Everyone, myself included, usually likes a spray, but there's something kind of elegant and nice about the ritual of dropping it on. And so far I've found that the strength of these perfumes is enough that a few drops will do. So yeah, really bright green opening. I suppose that's the pink pepper, but I wouldn't clock it as pink pepper if I didn't see that on the list. But anyway, it lists here pink pepper, copal resin, mesquite wood, Mexican vanilla beans. Now, as it dries down, I would say it definitely is all about the copal resin. It reminds me of a fragrance I tried recently and actually didn't really enjoy, Perfume d'Empire Wazamba, which is full. It has the whole laundry list of those kind of ancient biblical resins. And I get a very similar smell in the dry down of this one. Other references might be from Eldo's Marquis de Sade, which, as far as I can tell, is only labdanum. I really don't get anything else but that. To be honest, this is not my favorite genre, and while I enjoyed it, I didn't love it. It's a like, but not a love. But I think part of that's influenced by the weather today. It's extremely cold, and I find these kind of resinous scents almost have a chill to them as well. Something like stone, there's a dry dustiness to them. Almost, people talk about that like your tongue is dry sense. It's not that dry, but it's going in that direction. Almost the kind of sense you also get from like tannins, when you have tannins on your tongue. And it's somewhere between that and also like a camphorous note, but just that general vibe you get from these ancient resins of something very old and medicinal, which is nice. It's a romantic impression, but I think in the cold weather, I was just craving for something warmer. It's interesting that it lists Mexican vanilla beans. Again, I would never call out vanilla if I smelled this without knowing it, but I think I can sense that it adds a little bit of roundness, but it's not sweet vanilla at all. I would say this really is devoid of sweetness, but it's just adding, a little bit of roundness, a little bit of depth, a little bit of sort of plant smell. And that's something I'm noticing. Obviously, it's part of the aesthetic of the brand, so maybe it's just the power of suggestion, but all of these have the sense of like being in nature, being in plants, humid tropical rainforest, ancient resins, stones, wet trees, which is the kind of aesthetic that I really enjoy. But so far, the two fragrances I've tried have been likes and not loves, but I'm not writing this brand off as style over substance yet. I think the two fragrances I've tried so far are very well done, but just not up my alley, and I knew that going in. But if you like these kind of dry, medicinal, resinous scents, if you know the smell of copal resin, I think that's really what this fragrance is all about, and it does a great job with that. You should definitely try this, especially also if you like Wazamba. I'd say it's considerably simpler than Wazamba. Wazamba has just a laundry list of notes: cypress, red apple, aldehydes. It's crazy. It's an interesting fragrance I found, but I didn't love it. So yeah, if you like that, you should definitely try this. I suppose, like I said, I wish there was just something else contrasting it. maybe a floral, maybe more vanilla. I usually don't like sweetness, but maybe something sweeter, something warmer. But like I said, I'll have to try it in warm weather because maybe the dryness of the resins will actually be a nice relief in warm weather. So that's my impression of Copala. Fantastic longevity, really well done, nice and natural smelling, but not my favorite genre. It's a definite like, but not a love, especially at the high price point for this brand. But I'm glad to have 5 mils of it. It's something I definitely want to revisit and smell again. Continuing my exploration of the Xinu Discovery Set, today I'm going with their freshest fragrance, Aguamadera, which is based on agave, green lime, gaiac wood, and cedar wood. I've worn this for half a day. Being one of their lighter fragrances, it's already calmed down a bit, although a little bit of the dry down is still perceptible, but I'll remind myself. It's definitely heavier than a cologne. I got good performance maybe 3-4 hours, but after that it becomes a really light skin scent. It is very fresh without any kind of really obvious particular citrus. It says green lime, but I'm not sure I would immediately get lime, but a very fresh citric sourness, almost like smelling lime peel. I've got to say, it does remind me of some more commonplace designer freshies. It's racking my brain for which one exactly, and I think it might be Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. It's the kind of scent that I feel like I've smelled several times before, or a little bit of the dry down of Dior Homme Sport. I'd say it's a bit less synthetic than those, a bit less tenacious, a little more natural smelling, but I think it's maybe just a combination of these fresh, bright citrus ingredients with that woody base that's so familiar. It's not bad, it's nice. Again, I think the weather is maybe affecting my enjoyment of it. Being very cold today, I think this would be really great in the warm weather. But I've got to say, for a brand that looks so special and charges quite a lot for a 50 ml, I would want a lot more special of a fragrance than this for the price. Again, it's a nice freshie. Not really sure what else to say about it. Very, very bright citric. It's not very alcoholic. Like, it doesn't smell other fragrances that really smell like tequila or champagne or gin. I wouldn't immediately place this as like a tequila drink, even though it lists agave. But I would call it a green, fresh, slightly aquatic. It doesn't smell like the sea, but it has that kind of blue shower gel freshness, again, that I experience in a lot of designers. So possibly my least favorite so far. Getting a little nervous. None of them so far have been, I think, blown me over enough to consider a bottle. Maybe my favorite so far was Copala, although, yeah, I think this 5 mils enough. But not giving up hope, I've actually left what I think will be my favorites for last, Monstera and Oro Nardo. I tried Oro Nardo actually once before at Lucky Scent and really liked it. It's a really nice tuberose, but I will follow up with my full impressions so Aguamadera. Just an aside that I wore the Labo Bergamot body lotion, which is quite strong, but I waited a few hours to let that dissipate so it didn't interfere with this. But I gotta say, I liked the smell of the body lotion more than I liked this fragrance. So that's what it tells you about that. Nice, pleasant, fine, but I think, again, for such a high price, special presentation, I'd want something a lot more unique and a lot more interesting than this. So that's Aguamadera from Xinu.